Alright, so in this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit more about how to draw noses in profile. And I think a good way to do this is to look at what we're simplifying. Right, so what we're simplifying is, first off, let's just kind of look at the nose here and the different shapes we have. So you have this shape here that comes down, comes in right here. Now you have the same nostril flares you do from the front view. You have this front button part of the nose. You have this whole underplane part of the nose. Then you have the bridge part of your nose up here, and you have that whole entire side plane of the nose here that can kind of be looked at two different ways. This like this. Right, that's the whole entire shape of the nose. Now, what we're simplifying, not to just back up, I didn't draw any there. So what we have to do is think about, okay, well, first of all, what constitutes a cute nose? And typically in comic books, we like to really come down like this and pull it up right here. And that gives you that simplified shape. Now the nostril here, we simplify that as well to this line right here like that. And then you see how the nose flare right here, we don't want to draw all that. That would just be too much detail and it's not going to look pretty, right? Not going to look beautiful. And so typically we'll just draw a little line right here representing that. Because as you can see, oftentimes this whole entire part here ends up looking like one piece. It really depends on the lighting, but we'll show you a couple different examples. Or I guess I'll show you a couple different examples. So as you can see with this nose here, you can see how it looks like more like one piece right here. The whole entire nostril flare kind of becomes one piece with the button part of the nose like there. And we just like to represent that part right there, and that's it. That's the only part that is really necessary to represent. Let me go ahead here and make sure this is up here. So it's just this part right here. That's the main part you're concerned with. And typically, we'll take this part here and we'll kind of come down with it like that and then kind of come across like this. Now, the little line that we draw right here is to represent that part right here. You kind of see that shape right there. It's to represent this top part of the nose and the flare of the nose, how they come together. And so you can, I guess you can try to like do something like that, and all different types of simplifications have been tried, but what seems to work really well is as you come to this part of the nose here, this comes down to the lip, is to just have a little line right here. And sometimes we'll even make it to where it's, you know, closer, it depends on the nose you're drawing, closer to here. And as you get rid of the photo, you can see how that works right there. Both those noses work. And then you can just have a little line right here like that. And sometimes we'll have a little line here, or maybe even like this here, just kind of show that part of the nose. Right? And that's it. So it's really thinking about the core parts of the nose. You have the side flare, you have the button part of the nose, you have the underplane, you have the nostril, and you have the part of the nose here, I guess you can call it the side bridge of the nose, or that, you know, that full middle part of the nose. Those are the main shapes that make up the nose. And if you think about those shapes and go, okay, well, how can I simplify those shapes? How can I make it look how I want? You can see how you can get inspired by photos to come up with the nose, but typically you always want to indent this in here more. And if you want to get that, notice that shape is a pretty shape to nose, and so is this shape a pretty shape to the nose. All I've done is taken the basic core of the nose and have changed it just a little bit. And also what we'd like to change is this here. So what we'll do is we'll just take the nostril, and it usually starts a little bit below the point, and right about here, about where it starts in real life, but we like to slant it down. We just mean fellow comic artist. Just kind of slide down like this. Sometimes we might actually add a little bit of hint of the nostril there, and then this part here usually just comes a line like that. Sometimes it'll just become a line like this, and that's all. And that's all that's necessary. And then you'll have some shading here that'll be done by the colorist, and maybe some shading right here that'll be done by the colorist to kind of show that the three-dimensional feel of the nose. But just with the line work alone, you can usually get a sense. You could, you know, do something like this, and that's fine, and that will still work as well. You can even kind of pull this up a little bit like that, and that works as well. It's just up to you on how you want to deal with the nose, how much detail you want to add. But typically it's reduced, and also you're trying to draw a bunch of faces really quickly. It's much easier just to kind of come with the nose like this, draw this shape, come here, draw this shape, and bam, you're done with your nose. And every person has a slightly different nose in your comic book, and so how you draw each nose is a little different. You know, another nose you might draw might come down, be more like this, be more, you know, maybe more pointy, but it's still, oops, it's still, you know, oops, I wanted to kind of go more like, just to kind of show that little point right there. You can also make it point up more, so you can have it be, you know, the person be like more that kind of like, you know, that kind of stuck up look right here, kind of like that, and that's it. And that's all the nose is going to be, and maybe a little line right here, or a little line like this to kind of show, and that's to be that nose. Now I know noses out of context sometimes look kind of weird, but on a face, you know, it's much different. So let's go ahead and draw a couple noses really fast on a face now. All right, so here we have our face. Let's go ahead and give her a couple different nose styles. Right, so we can come down and we can make it, let's say, more of a pointed up nose that kind of comes down like this, and that's going to work as well. You can also make it where it's more, has that kind of more stuck up look, comes up more like this before it actually turns. As it's slanted down, look more like that. A lot of these types of noses aren't as pretty. Typically, if you stick to the basic shape that we've already gone through and don't deviate much from that, you're going to get a much prettier nose. And then the deviations you might make will be in how you draw the nostrils here on the side and how you draw that line right there. That's typically how I change the nose. It's very rare, unless you're trying to draw a woman that's not quite as pretty or maybe a little more ethnic, you might come out, you know, and do like this line like this a little bit here. But, you know, typically that's just not going to be as eye-pleasing. And, you know, some people might take offense to that. You know, why does it always have to be, you know, eye-pleasing? Well, you know, that's up to you. Like, you got to decide what you think your audience is going to like. And ultimately, and oftentimes, you know, we won't even, this part will just come straight up like this right here. And then the nostril part will come down right here like that. That is, we're not even going to bother having this line overlap at all in there because it looks kind of weird. But that basic shape, you know, tends to work really good for noses. Now another shape that works really nicely that I like is come up with the philtrum right here, as you normally would. And when you come off that philtrum, kind of come off it as a straight line. Think about it as angles first. And then have the, you can always round this out in a little bit and have the angle come straight up like that. Maybe a little bit more like this, right about here. And then kind of angle it this way. And then we'll kind of curve that into that angle like that. And then also, sometimes even coming out with the eyebrow to more of a straight point, this style. This is all, it's all about style, you know, like when it comes to your comic books. It's what's the style that you want, you know. Some like more of the angled look, some, you know, like especially here, like come straight with the hard line. Some people like that look where it's just like a bold hard line right out there to the, where the, it usually goes a little bit lower than the eyebrow, so we'll go a little bit lower than that. We have that same curve and it comes out here and then comes down like that. And it's literally like a straight point. So you have this kind of like shape like this, comes here and it comes like that to the nose. And you have that kind of shape like that. There's a tons of different shapes, and you know, you can decide where you want points, where you want curves, and so forth. But that's the basicness of the nose. And now you can see she looks a little bit different with this kind of nose versus the nose I had on her before. And I might add maybe just a little bit of a hint of a nostril there. And you can start to round that shape out and get a slightly different look. You can also bring the nostril a little bit bigger. You can also make it darker and more flat like this. And then sometimes I'll add just a little line right here just to kind of show the beginning shape of the nose there. Now personally, I try not to mess with noses too much when I'm drawing. I mean, sometimes I'll give, you know, someone a little bit thinner of a nose than somebody else, someone more of a sharper, someone more of a round nose. But typically, I like to stick with this basic shape right here for my noses. You know, it's up to you what you want to do with it, though. And you could get a little bit more detail with the nose, and it'll still look nice. So what we could do is maybe make it just on a little bit more slanted toward realism here. come down here and then slant. Now notice that this part of the nose here, the button part of the nose, has a slightly different slope than the bridge of the nose here. We're gonna add just a little bit of a point like this, and then come down like so. And then with the nostril, you can have a little bit more where the nostril and everything just kind of becomes one piece here. And you can have that whole entire shape right there. Kind of break up the lines a little bit here. And maybe just have a little line right here. And there you have it. And it's not like a huge difference, but it is a subtle difference. And if you want, you can maybe even add, like I said, just a little bit of the nostril there. But that typically is not done. And if it is, it's very subtle because it starts to make the nose look funny. Even that, see how that little line just makes the nose start to look strange. And I like to break this up. I mean, some people will draw all this as one shape. I don't think it looks as pleasing as if you kind of break it up. So I have a couple dots here, a couple dots there, and just kind of break the nose up a little bit so it's not all one solid piece. It's still conveying the same information, it's just not fully there. And now you can see she looks a little bit different. She has this more pointed nose than she did before. This smaller ball of her nose, not so round as I had it the first time. Right, so that's it for drawing noses. Just think about the actual shape of the nose. And for this one, I'll do a quick video FaceTime for you guys on the exercise, on what I want you to do for the exercises of the side view of noses. It's gonna be kind of fun, so check it out.